Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second web conference. We're in week 3. So to start off with, make sure you have all your settings ready to go. Make sure you have the little chat area open, that you've checked your audio and video, made sure both are working, and you said, yes, it's working, to go ahead and move on. And most importantly, you need to prepare your space for learning. I don't know about you, but I always have to kick my dog out of the room because she has a tendency to whine through my recordings, which has messed things up several times, but is always interesting. So I always have to kick her out. I don't know what your process is, but make sure you do that. And let's do our quick quality check, make sure everything's working. If you can see the quality check, if you see the record, if you can hear me, just go ahead and raise your hand for me. Awesome, thank you. Go ahead and lower your hand. And just to go over again what I do with the session notes, I want everyone, whether you're attending live or asynchronously, to take notes. Now, how you go about that is completely up to you. I know everyone has a different way of taking notes. A few things to keep in mind. You want to hit the important points. I want to hear your thoughts because you may not always have a chance to express that in these short little sessions, so make sure you include that. Also, if you have questions, put those in because I do respond to your session notes to make sure that, you're getting your questions answered, and also listen for activities. Sometimes the live individuals will also have to do some writing in your session notes, but asynchronously, you're going to have to do all of the activities in your session notes. So do those however works best for you. All right, so our learning objectives for this session, you read chapters 3 and 4. And for this session, we're going to really dig down into social media. So we're going to look at positive and negative aspects of social media use, evaluating the implementation as social media as an educational tool. We're going to reflect on the ways that we use it. And we're going to look at ways that we can design our classrooms or our trainings to integrate technology in really meaningful ways. So just to start off with, if you could go to the chat down at the bottom of the page, and when we talk about technology in the classroom, everyone has an immediate reaction to it, whether it's positive or negative, but just put a little emoji in our chat box and let me know what your first reaction is when you think about including a new technology in your classroom or in your training. Some excited, some not so excited, and I think that's kind of typically the case. I know when I first get a new technology, I'm pretty nervous about using it because I don't know all the areas that things could go wrong, and something always goes wrong at some point, and we can't always anticipate what that's going to be. Now, social media and learning is a whole different ballgame. Social media is changing all the time. If we think about things like Facebook, that was so cutting edge and such a huge part of everyone's lives, now it tends to be older people that are using it, and it's not as cutting edge or as new or as exciting as some of the other technologies and social media that are out there. So what form of social media do you use regularly, or do you prefer maybe? What I'd like you to do, at the very top of the page, you see a little square. I want you to use that to put a rectangle over one of these on here that you either regularly use or that you prefer. Pinterest is a fun one. Facebook, Snapchat. I'm amazed that no one picked Instagram. That happens to be mine. Pinterest is a really cool one, though. My daughter uses Snapchat all the time. You were torn, Candace? Yeah, I mean, because there are so many and they have so many different uses and different purposes. So it can be really hard to choose a fit one anyway. Now, social media is, of course, not without critique. There are many critiques on social media. It primarily, the way that we look at it is as a communication tool for people. But when we think about bringing it into the classroom, there are so many more critiques to it. Now, the assignment that I want you to do after our session ends is to consider how you engage with social media. Are you exposed to different views on the issues? Do you engage in really deep discourse? Now, what I'm showing you here is the prompt that I have on our Canvas webpage. So when you go there, you're going to click on reply to post your reply. And this is a small group discussion. So there are only 5 people in the group. And I want you to respond to everyone in your group. And this is after we end our session today. Let me go back for just a second. So you may want to make a note in your session notes to go back and do this after the session ends and to come back to the slides if you need to remind yourself, but this is posted on Canvas for you. Now we have to consider a lot of different things when we're thinking about including a new technology in the classroom or in training. Now, sometimes we get overly excited and we just want to figure out a way to use something, but that may not be the best approach because we're not really considering the learning environment and our teaching approach or the learner's approach to the course or the training if we focus too much on the technology. So would you consider integrating social media into the classroom? I'm sorry, give me just a moment. I know there's a lot of trepidation about incorporating social media. So what I would like you to do is select 1 if you're unsure, 2 for yes, or 3 for no. I must say I'm surprised that I got all unsures. Although maybe I shouldn't be because I have set this up to make it very unsure. And that's actually a really good thing. I think we should be unsure when it comes to any kind of technology and particularly social media. Now I'm going to put this link into our text chat. And I want you to watch this video. It's under 4 minutes. Give me just a moment here. For my asynchronous listeners, pause the video for just a minute and go ahead and go to this YouTube link. And if our live listeners could go ahead and go to that as well. When you come back, just raise your hand so I know you. And one of our lovely, yes, somehow that link is unavailable. So give me just a second and let me get that link for you. You know, sometimes technology doesn't work the way that we expect it to. All right, I just tested the link and you should be good to go. Awesome, thank you. All right, so let's actually discuss some of those ideas. What do you think about what the assistant professor had to say? What do you think is worth considering? Yeah, Melinda. Melinda, did you want to share? Did anyone want to share your ideas on the video? Melinda?
I can go if you'd like.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I think the video was really informative, and one of my responsibilities in my profession is social media engagement for students. So kind of monitoring the content that is going out by our student organizations, by professors or instructors that want to operate social media for their courses. And it can be a useful tool. One of the struggles that I see a lot is just, they want to have that social media, but they don't necessarily want to, kind of learn or investigate the best ways to manage the social media, or they just don't have the time to do that, which is fair. So sometimes, they'll put up 12 posts in a day and then they kind of go stagnant for a month. So kind of, learning that information or making sure they're putting up content that's relevant to what their page represents and not just sharing any kind of random information that's really not relevant to what they do. So that's just kind of one thought I had as we were watching the video there.
Oh, I think those are fantastic points. Boy, I'm glad you're in this class and we're able to share those. Thank you.
Thanks.
Katie.
So I think something that really stuck out to me was that he mentioned that when students use social media, their conversations about the topics become more enriched in other areas, which absolutely fascinates me, mostly because I am part of a group. I'm part of the digital generation. I'm one of the millennials that are so well known for our constant access to technology and constantly being connected to social media. And I am kind of one of those people where it's like, yeah, I like it, but at the same time, I couldn't care less. And so hearing him say that, and hearing him talk about how it really does have a benefit when I am so skeptical, it's kind of a fascinating idea to me. And the fact that he's so open to it is just, it's kind of exciting. Because my initial reaction is to be like, it may work, but it's not going to benefit. And he's telling me right then and there that that's not necessarily the case.
Well, not only that it could benefit, but also that it may not in every case. Like you have to understand it, as Melinda was talking about, in order to really use it well. Or in the case of a classroom, in order to implement it in the classroom, you have to not only know how it fits into the curriculum, but you have to know how those conversations work. Candace, did you want to share your thoughts? Sorry, I am putting you on the spot.
That was me that shared before. That was me that shared before. I think Melinda is getting kicked in and out. I'm not sure. I think we might have lost her.
Because I'm going by hands. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, it's totally fine. I didn't want to step on her toes, but I'm not sure what was happening there with her sound.
Yeah, she was, it looks like she had to leave the session and come back in. Melinda, how are you doing? You back in with us? All right. Well, it sounds like at least he gave us a few things to think about. Not only is it nice to hear someone so excited about something, but for someone that is so excited to also caution us as to how we go about implementing something, and if we should, to really think about it and to make sure we're doing it purposefully and not just because it's the cool new thing. So after this class, in your session notes, what I would like you to do is write a response to the following questions. So social media nor other types of technology are not always a good option for the classroom. What considerations do you take into account when you are deciding on using technology? And I'm using the term classroom here fairly loosely, so that could be a training environment or an actual classroom environment, however that applies to your professional life. How do you go about selecting an appropriate and meaningful tool? So you'll have access to this prompt on our Canvas site after our session, but I want you to start thinking about that and include that in your session notes before you submit those today. All right, so first I want to thank you for being a part of our session, whether you were live or asynchronous. And just a couple of reminders. Remember to go to your small group discussion, respond to the prompt, and then to all the members in your group. There's only 5 people in a group, so it won't take you too long. Remember to submit your session notes and include that writing prompt in your response. And of course, continue reading the text, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Have a great day.